Okay, it's Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. This is going to be another sort of hybrid blog vlog for Fantasy Authors Handbook. So I poo pooed. Every once in a while you poo poo, but it's okay, right? Not gatekeeping. I don't have a gate to keep. I have no control over how you read or what you read or when you read it, right? And nor do I want to exert any control over that for anybody. So I buy books. This is the front stack. There's more stacks here. This is just the downstairs like main science fiction library, and then there's a whole wall that you can't see behind it. I buy a lot of books. There's probably people out there who are like, he buys way too many books. This is just consumption. He's not reading them all. I'm reading as many as I can. And last year, I think I read like 62 books or whatever, surpassed my Goodreads challenge. My Goodreads challenge so far for this year is 60 books, and I'm ahead of the game on that. So I am reading. I'm making sure that I have more time to read. We're keeping in mind, too, that I, work for a living. I'm not just retired or anything. And my job is to read. My job is to read books. So I'm reading books literally all day. And so when I'm reading just stuff for my own pleasure and enlightenment. That's not, every once in a while I'm kind of like, I need to not read for a minute, like bear with me. And so there's going to be some like just TV time or whatever. That new Hellboy movie, by the way, on Hulu was actually pretty good. On the side. So anyway, I am trying to make time for reading more. I also have a lot of projects around the house. We all know the epic fence fell down in the windstorm story. I won't belabor that point. Turns out that's actually pretty cheap to do. The lumber is only like 260 bucks. Why do you need to know this? You don't. Anyway, it's not that big a deal. But there's other stuff, and there's other things, and then there's this and that and the other thing. And so I think like any middle class American, you get to a point sometimes where you're like, maybe you like me. It's a little bit of belt tightening time. It's not it's not a crisis. There will be no GoFundMe at the end of this, so take it easy. You don't have to turn this off. You don't have to flee. You're okay. You don't have to send me any money. So I've poo-pooed. Let's going back to the concept of poo-pooing. I poo-pooed the 100-book challenge, the 50-book challenge, or even the the 500-book challenge. I know at least one booktuber is doing. And if you haven't heard of this, this is where you just as a person decide or vow, take a holy oath, whatever you want to do, put it out there on social media that you are going to read 100 books that you already own. This adds up to, I'm sure, at least 100, just what you can see here. And there's like thousands more. You read 100 books that you already own before you buy another book. And I was always like, but I like buying books. I like collecting books. I have these collections of books, and that's a thing that I do, and I enjoy it. Well, that's true. But I do have these other responsibilities and stuff. And so this got me really thinking, if I'm going to kind of go into this like mini austerity period, which won't be like a year or anything like that, to just sort of get some stuff done around the house, etc., then maybe this is the time to do that, to give that a try. Because after all, it is true that I think just sort of looking at, to borrow a term from like the tech world, the velocity of my reading over the last several years, it's been at least 50 books. Again, not including all of the books that I read and work on as a freelance editor, etc. But just, books, these books. About somewhere between 50 and 60. I'm pushing to 60 this year. I probably will end up reading more, but a few more. But I think clearly, and again, I'm fine. Health is good. Looking good. Don't be fooled by this. I don't know. I'm not as young as I used to be, but I'm good. I'm fine. Again, no GoFundMe, no panic. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh no, and then this turns into Phil's cancer story. on wood, right? I'm fine. But again, right, nobody lives forever. And if I have like, how many? I'm guessing 3,000 books at 50 books a year. That's years of books that I already own. And every once in a while, I kind of confront myself with that, let's be honest. And I think it's okay to do that. I will die with unread books in my house. I'm good with that, actually. I'm okay. Because I just love to be surrounded by lots of books. But anyway, I thought, hey, this is the time to try that. So here we go. Here on YouTube and on Fantasy Authors Handbook, the blog which you have to subscribe to, whether you damn well like it or not. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the 100 book challenge starting today, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. This guy here will buy no more books until I read 100 books I already own. So what does that mean? Because this channel has become just monthly book haul videos because I just have got a lot going on. It's been very deadline intensive the last, really 5 months, which is good too, right? Business is good. So then what does it mean for this channel? Hopefully more writing content, which is really what I designed this for and what I'm trying to do and what Fantasy Authors Handbook, the blog, has been since 2009. So we'll do that. But instead of these, the last one was like an hour and 40 minutes long, instead of these gigantic book haul videos where I'm just like, hey, I went to the library sale and I bought all these books. I think what I'm going to do is start kind of on the sort of BookTube side of this. Why do I do that? The BookTube side of this channel is going to be when I finish reading a book, I will come on and I'll talk a little bit about it. I guess, I don't know. I say I don't review books, but then in reality, you could look at a lot of stuff that I do and say, well, that counts as the book review, Phil, when you do like books for fantasy authors, which is a long-running series up to 46 installments on the blog. Or here, when you do stuff like talking about Hawkshaw by Ron Goulart, which is a video you really have to see. I am reviewing books, and then, okay. Right. So what I'm going to do, this is the plan. I'm going to read 100 books before I buy another book. This might take me the better part of 2 years, or let's see if I can do it in about a year and a half, probably. But I don't know. It's not a race. That's another thing to keep in mind that I think can be tough. And I know that BookTube kind of confronts itself with that from time to time. Are we doing like a productivity thing, like I'm hustle culturing my way through 500 books this year and I have to have an audio book while I'm running and then an audio book doing this and then another book and then books on my Kindle and right? Is it about consumption, not even of the kind of consumption that I'm sure I could be accused of just buying and buying and buying books and, faster than I'm reading them? There's also a kind of a consumptive sense to I'm just trying to put as many books in as humanly possible, as fast as possible, so that I can say I've read whatever number of books. I don't think that's a good idea. Do what you want to do, right? Again, no gate to keep. You do you, but if all you're doing is just kind of like quickly at 2 times speed whipping through an audiobook, maybe that works for you. It would not work for me. I don't even know how you do that. But anyway, let me start with the books that I'm currently reading, which I think will probably freak a few people out because I know that I used to be, I have a book, I'm reading that book. When I'm done with that book, I go get another book. And I found that when I was doing that, if my attention kind of wandered from that book and I was kind of like, I really feel like reading that book right now, then it would take me like 4 months to read a book. And talk about having tons of books and not reading them fast enough. That was just a recipe for not doing what I love, which is reading books. And so there was a coworker, actually, it was the coast, who said that he always had like 2 or 3, 4 books going at any one time. And, if he wasn't in the mood for this book, he would pick up that book. And at first I thought, just like I poo-pooed the 100-book challenge, I poo-pooed that and said, no one's brain can possibly do that. Meanwhile, I'm editing in different stages multiple books all day, every day, and then also reading. And that was when I realized, actually, I'm doing that right now. And I'm doing that at a very precise, concentrated, detailed level. So why can't I do that on a casual entertainment level as well? So I started reading multiple books, and my sort of reading scheme, which I'll get into in more detail on the written blog, which I've done before, it's morphed and changed. It's been 5 books, it's been 4 books, it's been this many books, that many books, different categories of books, and how I go through series and stuff like that. I've hit upon one that seems to be working for now, and then of course, listen, I'm chaotic good. I give myself the opportunity to follow a better idea. So if the reading scheme morphs again, when the reading scheme morphs again, maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe it won't even matter. But anyway, I'm going to start today with what I'm reading right now. Obviously not sitting with all the books open and trying to do that like some kind of crazy, weird savant. But when I feel like reading this or when I feel like reading that. And then sometimes I'm getting toward the end of a book, I'm like, I'm just going to finish this one up. Right. And right now I'm doing kind of 2 that I'm concentrating on, and you'll see those as they come up. So these are the categories in order. I'll go, again, on the actual written blog, which you may be even seeing this video on right now. I'll do links to all these, and we'll talk about a little bit more about the reading scheme. But first, and this is kind of the order in which that scheme is designed, the primary fiction, or we're going to call it primary literature, that also would include poetry and plays, which I do read poetry and plays as well. This is Dark Tales by Shirley Jackson. Shirley Jackson's short stories. So have I been super deadline crazy? Have I been concentrating on a couple other books? I love Shirley Jackson. I am a Shirley Jackson fan. I've only read one of the stories so far, and it's sat for a while. So we'll be getting back to this. Not a super long book, and it's a book that I was just like, oh, I need this. I have to have this. And so far, so good, right? So book number 1, not necessarily the first book that I will finish reading. I can tell you that for sure in this 100-book challenge. But these are the first batch of books in that, right? So Dark Tales by Shirley Jackson. Next, the primary nonfiction book, which is a nonfiction book in any category, any subject, just it's nonfiction, right? This is the one, very excited to get this brand new. The name of this band is REM. It's one of my favorite bands of all time. I, again, kind of stalled down on this one because we'll talk about this when I'm done reading it, but there was some, I don't want to say triggering stuff, because it wasn't like, oh my God, now I'm going to have some sort of really negative reaction, but it was a, extreme nostalgia thing that happened in the first part of this book. But I love it, and because I just love this band, and I just want to know their story, and so far the writing is really good. So the name of this band is REM. This is the big one. This one we're going to get back to. We're going to prioritize that. Number 3 is our random book, and you've seen this on the videos where I have the giant stacks of paperbacks, mass market paperbacks, that I've been collecting over the years. Mostly science fiction, fantasy, horror, but lots of other stuff mixed in there. And you are definitely reading the blog every week, right? So you saw the mother of all info dumps, which is from this book here. And that's about where I stopped. After that, I was just kind of like, whew, daddy. let's go ahead and put that out in public as what not to do. I mean, no offense to Kurt Loschwitz, author of Two Planets. Um, so it's made me a little bit reluctant to get back into this, but at the same time, the first chapter was super charming and really, really good, and I really want to read this, and I feel like I got to at least get to the Kent cigarette ad before I give up. And I don't think I'm going to give up. I'm going to keep reading this one. Two Planets by Kurt Loschwitz. I will either DNF it, which I hate saying publicly I'm going to do that, but Kurt is no longer with us, so no offense to the Loschwitz estate. I don't know. But here's the thing. The first chapter was really good. The second chapter was like, the hell are you doing? So he can get me back. Kurt can get me back. I'm not giving up. This is not me giving up. I am not giving up. That's the third category. Fourth category, the long read. So I have been very slowly and luxuriously working my way through the Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. I've got the first 4 under my belt. Wow. I mean, seriously, a absolute masterpiece. There are people who say don't bother reading this one, the fifth book, The Earth of the New Sun. This is another one where I sort of just read the first couple chapters just to sort of get started, and then there it sat while I'm doing other stuff and been a little bit deadline helly. I hate saying deadline hell because it's not hell to do my job. I love it. You know what I mean? It's just deadline intensive, work intensive. The fence fell down, other things going on intensive, whatever. Gene Wolfe, brilliant genius. Oh my God. The first 2 chapters so far, I'm 100% back in to the world of the New Sun. This one's obviously lots shorter than the 2 big omnibus editions that I have, the Tor Essentials editions that I read. Loving it. We'll finish this and then move on to another long book that you will see when we switch over. Because you care and because you need to know. You need to know. Next is the series book. You know I collect these series and I want to actually read them. So I started reading The Polar Treasure by Doc Savage. And again, go to the blog and you'll see kind of how I've cycled through a series. Did you hear my noisy refrigerator making ice? Maybe. We talked about that. It sounds like savings. So this is, it's Doc Savage. There he is. Mono Imano versus a giant polar bear. These books are delightfully terrible. And I say that, I mean, this is just hack writing at its most extreme, and it's just a delight. You have to really approach these things if you're thinking, should I read? I mean, he's crazy, because I'm a little, nobody's crazy. It's not crazy is a meaningless word. It's pure fun. You do have to sort of flip a switch in your brain to say, just don't think about this in terms of literature. Just go like, that was hilarious. That was clever. That was creepy. That was weird. That was very 1930s. These books were written in the 1930s as issues of Doc Savage magazine. And it's got all of the sort of gender, race, nationality, political stuff that you would expect from a book that old. So you can cringe your way through it, but you also have to realize, hey man, it's been a long 90 years. Let's just kind of have some fun with it. No? Okay. Maybe not. And if you don't want to have fun with it, then okay, go have fun with something else. I'm having fun with Doc Savage. This is number 4, so I'm just kind of starting on some of these series. And sometimes it takes me a little while to kind of cycle through because I'm doing other stuff. But right now, reading Doc Savage, The Polar Treasure, number 4. Also, I am reading these in the Bantam Books order, which is not the same as the order they were originally published in the magazines. Because I like Doc Savage, but I'm not going to do the whole purist thing. Let's get on with our life. I'm going to get on with my life, please. All right, the next 2 books are books that I am kind of concentrating on now because I'm close to finishing them, and there's reasons. Kamandi, The Last Boy on Earth, by Jack Kirby, the legend Jack Kirby. I did a whole video of these when they came in. You can go find that. Just so damn much fun and weird as can be. Commandy, first of all, this is not your normal superhero stuff, right? This is post-apocalyptic sci-fi. He's kind of a dick. I have 4 more issues on this one, and then I go to number 2, which covers all of the Jack Kirby issues of Commandy. I won't go any farther than that, because why would you? You know, we're gonna talk about this later. It's fantastic, but it's cray. Next, almost the end. This is how many we got, right? So this is so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Oh, I'm missing one out of order. I'm going to do one that's slightly out of order, but whatever. This is Thrill Me by Benjamin Percy. This is because you are a member of the Fantasy Authors Handbook Goodreads group. Link below. Link on the blog post. This is our March 2025 group read, right? Thrill Me by Benjamin Percy. So far, so good. I'm pretty deep into this fairly short book. This is the other one, this and Commandy, I'm going to concentrate on till done, so that I make sure that it's read in the month of March and I have something interesting to say about it in the group chat and here at on the channel and also on the blog. If you are following the blog, so you know that last week I did a little bit of a breakdown of the January, we do every other month, January 2025 group read, which was the horror writers thing. And so go read that. That was also good. This is really good. Thrill Me by Benjamin Percy. And then this is the other one, which I tell myself in the same kind of way that I got to do some unlocking of home screens and whatnot. There we are. I'm also reading my pulp magazines. Let me see if I can hold this up without breaking it. Oh, what did I do? Okay. Oh, no, I pushed the button. And then it went blank, but it's okay. I'm reading Thrilling Mystery from July of, I don't remember what year, like 1937, July 1937. You'll see the reflection. Look at my light fixture. Yeah, fantastic. Cheapest light fixture you can get. But I had to buy a new one for upstairs because of the whole roof thing, which is part of why I can't buy books for a little while. But anyway, you don't need to hear my tale of woe, and I'm not asking for money. This is Thrilling Mystery, 9 gripping mystery theaters. I read the first one, this John H. Cox story, Brides of the Dark God, and it was a peach. It was weird and nuts. I mean, it was like kind of like content warning, kind of surprising for 1937, Brides of the Dark God. I just have a ton of these PDFs of old pulp magazines saved, and I just want to read them. So I decided in my cycle of books that I'm reading, a nonfiction book, and this and that and the other thing, I'm going to always have one of these great pulp magazines going. And why not? Because this is super cool. And so this resides in PDF form here on my groovy iPad that I just got because my daughter bought a new one and she gave me this. Thrilling Mystery. And so far it's thrilling as hell. Ah. Last but not least, this one was just sort of, I will link. There's going to be links everywhere. I'm going to have to remember to actually do these links. To a very old blog post about behavior modification prompts, what I call those. And I've been doing that for years with, of course, again, the freedom to, maneuver through my own non-essential rules. But these are things that I put on my calendar that just tell me to do something that's just kind of breaking out of like kind of work. And during the day, just kind of do something that'll mix it up. And One of the things that I have, or there's sort of several versions of that, is go get a book to read. Like I have these stacks of short books that I pulled out when I was doing read one long book and read one short book and all that kind of stuff in a different iteration of what you just saw, the reading scheme. But they're still there. And so at random, it'll tell me just grab one of those. I also have books in baskets because we're doing this video because I have a ton of books. A metric ton of books. And so the other day it came up, pick a book from one of the baskets downstairs and just start reading it. And so I did, and it was this. Eclipse, a novel of Lewis and Clark by Richard S. Wheeler that I found somewhere. You can see the remainder on there, like for $1 somewhere. I was like, oh, this was one of my, like, part of what you see behind you is my main library. There's books that I have read that I love in here, books that I haven't yet read, all sorts of stuff. The entire house is filled with books. Some of those I just found at those like cardboard boxes in the supermarket where it's like books up to 70% off. And I'm like, I can't. If you might be able to see a Robert Jordan book right there. I haven't read any Robert Jordan, but I'm like, that was sitting there and I'm like, I have to adopt that. It's like I run a no-kill book shelter. You're welcome, American culture. This is one of those books, Eclipse, a novel of Lewis and Clark. And here, living in the Seattle area, which is sort of where Lewis and Clark ended up, spoiler alert, I don't really know that much about Lewis and Clark because I grew up in Chicago, so we learned Illinois history. I can tell you lots of stuff, most of which is probably not actually true about Abraham Lincoln, but don't know much about Lewis and Clark, so I just kind of, like I do, right away pick it up and read the first 2 chapters. Like, you have to actually start the book, right? First 2 chapters were really good. Okay? So this is just a sort of bonus book that's just there. I don't know that you can expect that this is going to be read like super fast because I really do want to get back into the Earth of the New Sun and the REM book next after I finish Thrill Me and Commandy. Okay, so those are the books, which is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 books that I'm reading right now. That's a lot, right? That's kind of too many. I always thought that 5 was good. 6 was actually better. 7 was pushing it. I'm reading 9, and that accounts for why, like, I read the first 2 chapters of 2 Planets and then was kind of like, all right, well, let's go and move on to something else for a minute. But again, doubling down on the reading time, having, that's halving, cutting in half the TV time, which I'm pointing at the TV, which is over my left shoulder here. That takes up too much of my time. It's not good, right? That's the only addiction that I actually feel like I have, a TV addiction, and it's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. All right. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going to read. These are just the first 9. I'm going to read 100 books that I already own before I buy a new one, and I will come back here and I will report on my progress. You will see, okay, this is the first book I finished. So I have finished books this year, right? This is starting now, today, Tuesday, March 11, 2025. Any books that I have read before don't count. I have one book that I have ordered from eBay before this decision was made that's kind of, slowly making its way to me. Another ace double, so, you might see that. But that's it, right? I cracked the library sale with that great book club edition of Dune. I feel like I've got that was a good sort of climactic moment for the book buying spree that I've been on for the last, 50 years of my life. So, it's time to do this. It's time to do the challenge. It's time to challenge myself. 100 books challenge begins now. Pray for me if you're the praying kind, because I don't know. But who knows? You don't know. What you do is you try. I will see you back here soon.